Welcome in. It is Tuesday evening. We are back on schedule here. Tuesday nights drafting on NFFC. $350 entry for a chance at a $300,000 grand prize in the Footballguys Online Championship. And today, I'm joined by the one and only Joey Wright. We did one of these, Joey, right after round one of the NFL draft when things were just going absolutely crazy, and we're going back in tonight. First things first, we kind of talked through this pre-show, so not a whole lot of stress here, but we're going with Puka Nacua, fourth overall, despite the groin injury that he's dealing with right now in camp, right?
Yeah, I'm not that concerned with the groin injury with Puka. So let's go right there. Perfect.
Yeah. I don't have any insight to Puka's groin, but it doesn't seem like it's anything super serious, so we'll see. I mean, this is also a guy, too, that has dealt with so many injuries throughout his career. It seems like every year he gets banged up, misses a game or two, comes back, looks like his old self. So we're almost 5 weeks away from the kickoff. At this point, I feel like there's no issue. Like, I wouldn't expect a groin injury to bleed into the regular season. And this guy who's familiar with the system, he's familiar with the quarterback. Even if he does miss, let's say, worst case scenario, 3-4 weeks of training camp, I still think that he can, be the Puka Nacua that we expect him to be at the start of the season.
Absolutely.
And then we see Jeff Bolt talking about the legal issues as well. I figured that would come up also. I know we did get that weird kind of report from Adam Schefter today where he was talking about both Josh Jacobs and Puka Nacua with potential legal issues. But he did say regarding Puka Nacua that if something were to happen, it would be one game. So I'm not too concerned about that either. Like, if he misses one game, we can find a replacement level player. But on a per game basis, Puka Nacua is the highest scoring player since entering the league. Joey, I'm really talking into myself here. This is the 13th online championship draft that I've done so far. How many of these, including this one, do you think I have Puka Nacua in?
So it's your 13th. I'm going to say 7.
All right. Not quite that crazy, but this is my 5th. So
okay.
5 out of 13, that's it's still a pretty aggressive stance for a player going this early in draft. I know a lot of people really like to kind of spread themselves thin at the top of the boards and, just try to get like one of each first-round player. And I understand that, but for me, it's just so hard to take JSN, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian McCaffrey. I just can't take those guys over the guy that I have ranked as the overall wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I was talking about it earlier today, and like these 4 that went off the board, pretty much in the order I have them. I have Chase as my wide receiver 1. JSN is kind of like my tier break where I just can't move him up to next to Puka and Jamar Chase. And I was even kind of flirting with like, does Amon-Ra St. Brown reach the mountaintop this year? We've seen him get so close year after year. Like, does he pass JSN to be the wide receiver 3 or maybe even wide receiver 1 this season? So, but yeah, that's the tier break for me. So
we might be teasing next week's episode already. We just dropped our running back rankings episode today. We're doing wide receiver rankings next week. And I'll just put it out there right now. I already have moved Amon-Ra St. Brown ahead of Jackson Smith-Njigba. I made that switch in my rankings about 2 months ago, still holding it down. So I'm trying to mix in like a little bit of JSN here and there, but I feel like where he's going, just expected regression overall. And now we have there were a lot of young pieces last year that didn't do much. We had Torrey Horton who was coming on and then he got injured. We had Rashid Shaheed getting traded for in the middle of the season. Elijah Arroyo, the rookie they drafted in round 2, is also dealing with injuries. Now AJ Barner, another year into this or on this team, he should only get better. So JSN is a guy that I was the JSN guy, and I can confidently say that. I had him ranked higher than anybody else in Fantasy Pros ECR contest last year, but paying that top 5 price tag this year has been a little bit tough for me to swallow, so I'm passing on JSN this year. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey ahead of him. I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown ahead of him. And you talk about it, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, it seems like everybody sees him as this boring, safe player because he's just the wide receiver 3 year after year after year, but all it would take is an extra 2 touchdowns over the whole course of the season to bump him up to being that overall wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and that was Amon-Ra St. Brown's big knock a couple years ago is he kept getting tackled inside the 5-yard line. And so Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery would just scoop those touchdowns up. But Bourbon Cowboy, what's up, buddy?
Joey, would you buy a I have no insight into Puka's groin t-shirt?
I'm already getting it printed, Bourbon Cowboy.
Please have it ready for me NFFC weekend. I just want to wear that shirt at all my drafts. I have no insight into Puka's groin. But let's go ahead and catch up on the chat. Say hi to everybody else here. We got Jaquan in the chat, as always, saying evening, y'all. Evening to you as well, Jaquan. Thanks for hanging. Dave and J-Dub. Sup, fellas? J-Dub. I don't think I've ever called you J-Dub before, but we had a J-Dub on my high school volleyball team that It's tough to replace the infamous J Dub from high school, but Joey,
Yeah,
I might have to start calling you J Dub every now and then.
I
We got
like
Jeff
it.
Bolt in the
I like
chat.
it.
Hi, Joey and Dave, two of my favorites on a live. How amazing is this? It is amazing. We get to do a lot of pre-recorded stuff together that you can find on the YouTube channel, which if you're watching right now, give us that thumbs up. But on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@FootballGuysFantasy, Joey and I have a minimum one show coming out a week, ramping up to 2 shows a week this time of year. And Joey will have 2 shows a week in season as well, so staying busy there, but not too often that we get to do live streams.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, on the way back, if Walker is there, smash that. All right, you're getting trolled already, Joey. We are just a couple minutes into the show, and they're already trolling you with some
Listen, I
Walker
love
takes.
it.
Yeah.
Please bring it. Last year, people were bringing it because I liked Trevor Lawrence. Now it's
Yep.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong.
Sometimes it happens, yeah. So we got Sean saying, Dave, how long will you be in Vegas next week? I get in Thursday, leave Sunday, so I'll be there the whole weekend. Let me know if you're going. Draft Nation, draftnation2026.com. You could still get your tickets. Should be a very good time. I'll be drafting some of these Football Guys Online Championships there live at Swim Stadium at Circa, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. We got Jimmy Seabear in the chat talking about Chase Brown going higher and higher. Joey, did you see that? We come out with the show today with one of the spiciest rankings in the industry, saying that Chase Brown deserves to be a round one talent. And then look at that, Chase Brown, 11th overall.
The people are listening, Dave. What can I say? No,
They are.
we both love Chase Brown. Look at that finish he had last year. See him carrying that over. And then you sent me it was a story. They were lining him up in the slot today or yesterday.
I know.
Let's go.
Yeah, he caught a ball deep downfield from Joe Burrow with nobody around him yesterday as well, where he caught a ball like 30 yards downfield and then turned it into like an 80-yard touchdown. Like, give me more of that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Albert Maraquin saying hello, everyone, and hello to you as well. Thank you for hanging out. Sean saying won't be there till Saturday morning, but plans to draft Jen Piacenti Sack Cancer League. Awesome. Well, I will see you there, Sean. Excited to finally meet you. I know our paths haven't really crossed, so that'll be a great time. I will be there Saturday morning, so I will see you there. We are on the clock, Joey. Let's go ahead and get our pick in here. Oh, boy. Brock Bowers is still available. We got to do it, right?
Yeah, I don't have much of them this year. I've not been towards this end of drafts. I've been a lot more towards that 11-12 pick in a lot of drafts.
Puka and that's where we typically see him going. Like that's it's why I've done a lot of these online championship drafts. This is my first Puka Bowers draft so far. I mean, these guys, like, it's really tough to say my guys when they're going this high in draft. Like, you can't say 2 first-round picks are my guys, but having Puka as my wide receiver 1, having Brock Bowers as that like cheat code I've talked about in drafts, I like this one quite a bit.
I'm looking at all the teams right now, and I think ours has the best chance to have a player at the number 1 position in both their positions.
I did a draft last night, Joey, and this isn't something that I would recommend doing here. This was a best ball draft, a $25. I'm willing to get a little bit freaky in those ones, but I started off my draft with Puka Nacua, Brock Bowers, and Josh Allen, just saying, like, did I just get the wide receiver 1, tight end 1, and quarterback 1? I mean, it's weird, but it was fun.
That's hefty.
It is, yeah. It wasn't, I don't know if I'd consider it like a high stakes league, but I joined a league a few years back with a bunch of guys in the industry, and it was a $500 league, $500 entry, 14 teams. And this was, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. I can't even remember who my first round pick was. Maybe it was Justin Jefferson, something like that. My round 2 pick, though, I took Travis Kelce. My round 3 pick, I took Josh Allen. And I was getting roasted by every single person in this league saying, we got the fish, blah, blah, blah. Guess who won that league, Joey?
Dave Kluge.
I did. Yeah, it was a pretty nice one. I actually kind of did the cop out thing though. Once we got to the finals, because it was a big pot, like I said, $500, 14 people. I was in the championship game with Anthony Amico, and we both were projected almost identical points. And this was a winner takes all type of draft. And we said, you want to just split the pot 50-50 and just not have to sweat like crazy through week 17, and that's what we did. So we both got a nice payout. I won the league, I got the bragging rights, but didn't get all the money that I had hoped to get. Sean's saying that he'll be drafting with you on September 12th. That's fun, yep. Joey.
Yeah, he's in the 1:00 draft on that Saturday.
Nice.
So Sean, real early in it, joined it and asked me which one I was going to be playing in. And I think Sean, good guy, even switched from a Thursday draft to a Saturday just so he could draft with me. April, Basquet's going to be in there with us as well. A lot of sharp names in there. Dude, I was excited last year for week 1 in Vegas.
Oh, it's
this year, I think with the Raiders being in town, it's gonna be even more exciting. So
yeah, It is a very, very fun time. One more time, we see all these YouTube comments coming in. Go ahead and give us that thumbs up if you have not already. It is so hard to grow channels with live streams. You know, we do pretty well on like the pre-recorded stuff that we put out there, Joey, but just haven't really figured out how to tap into these live streams yet. For whatever reason, they do not get the same amount of views as our other shows. So please, if you're watching on YouTube, give us that like, help this video grow. It means a lot to us. We've got a question, and let me see. I think we've got time to answer this question. Jeff Bolt saying, Joey and Dave, I found out that I have the 10th of 10th picks in my home league draft. I'm struggling. I want Brock so badly, but double tapping running back with Cook and Brown is hard to pass too. Now, this is a really good question. I'm glad that you clarified that this is a 10-team league because I don't think. Sorry, Joey. I see you trying to like peek out from behind that comment. We gotta get a better overlay here. That's good. I like that. You made it work. Look at like what's his name from Home Improvement, the neighbor,
like Wilson. Yeah, there we go. I don't think so, Tim. That was.
But I do think in a league like that with 10 teams, Brock Bowers is devalued ever so slightly just because there's like 7 or 8 really good tight ends. So I feel like even if you're waiting on tight ends and still getting a Kyle Pitts or a Harold Fannin later, you know, I think 12-team leagues, I'm paying up for Brock Bowers a little bit more. I'm in a 14, 16. I'm doing an 18-league draft right now. I took Brock Bowers 15th overall in an 18-league draft and have no qualms about that. So I do think, you know, if you can go with Chase Brown and James Cook at the 1-2 turn and then come back and get a McBride or a Loveland later, I think that might be okay. I don't know. What would you say? Would you take Brock Bowers at the 1-2 turn in a 10-teamer?
So in a 10-team league, I'm a little more adverse to just go for the best player available and not really worry about, okay, well, I need to get 2 running backs here because all the positions move down a little bit. But yeah, it's just I probably actually would take Bowers at that turn, just knowing that you've got if you go Cook over Brown, I understand that. I'm not going to argue with it, but getting that tight end one feels pretty valuable.
Yeah, and I wouldn't push back on it at all. I also wouldn't say that you have to take Chase Brown or James Cook. I think if Justin Jefferson's there, CeeDee Lamb's there, you can take those guys as well. There's a lot of flexibility I think you can get from picking later in drafts. But, Joey, we're on the clock in 1 pick right now. You know, we can go a lot of different ways here. The running back pool, I threw a guy in the queue that I've been taking a lot at the end of round 3. We might want to oh, well, he goes off the board. That's who I was thinking about taking there.
Taking him.
So we are back on the board now. I think the guy that really stands out to me as the best value would be who I just put. I guess we could talk openly about this. There's 2 guys in the queue. These are the 2 names that I really want. Are you able to see those, Joey?
Yeah, I am. And I kind of want to do the thing that we shouldn't do.
Yeah, you're right. We shouldn't do that. I took his name out of there.
It'd be really fun.
Should we go with the receiver here? I think that's a pretty safe pick.
I do like that receiver.
Yeah, not a guy I've been drafting aggressively, and it's just like, it's weird. You would think like a year 2 receiver who was just drafted inside the top 10 last year, posted elite peripheral metrics. You'd think there'd be a lot of excitement for Tetairoa McMillan, but for some reason, like he feels like the boring, safe play in drafts, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's because the offense he's playing on, the quarterback that he has, it's just not exciting. You look at all these other wide receivers that are going in this range. Lad McConkey's got Justin Herbert. Devonta Smith got Jalen Hurts. And it's just like Bryce Young. I mean, Tetairoa McMillan's going to need volume to kind of get there. But, you know, he's the wide receiver 1 on their team. So
and the volume was there last year. Like this guy, if you look at what he did, just like the target rate, the yards per route run, the air yards, sure. When I say elite, like I'm not overselling it. Like Tetairoa McMillan was elite last year, and that was while dealing with midseason injuries that kind of compounded throughout the season. The other big issue, I think, with the offensive environment isn't even necessarily Bryce Young. It's that Dave Canales, you know, this team is consistently like bottom 5, bottom 10 in pass rate over expectation. They will be down 3 scores in the second half, and they are still running the ball, trying to get that established. So I think that's kind of the fear here. But like in the handful of games, like we don't see it often, but every once in a while, Bryce Young has to open it up. And when he does, it's like, oh, Bryce Young, he can throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns if given the opportunity. So I still think that there is a ceiling worth chasing here, but it's just weird. Like I said, you know, this is a guy with elite draft capital, elite peripherals from his rookie season, coming into year 2, elite athletic profile, like checks every single box, and you make that pick in round 3 and you're just like, nah, like you don't feel great about it.
No. Oh, Parker Washington coming off the board there.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I had Scott Barrett dunking on me today, or at least attempting to dunk on me for a Parker Washington take. And I was like, what are we doing taking victory laps 2 weeks into training camp? Let's wait until the season kicks off before we can come back and revisit this one. think Parker Washington's a good player, but I just struggle to see the upside on an offense with that many mouths to feed. I'm starting to think that this Jaguars offense just produces like 5 guys that all have between like 600 and 800 yards and 3 to 5
Yeah.
touchdowns, and none of them are really worth it in fantasy.
I was the Trevor Lawrence guy last year, and it's just I still like Trevor Lawrence this year, but trying to pick a wide receiver. Honestly, I'm kind of liking the third wide receiver, whichever one from the Jaguars goes. Sometimes that's BTJ,
Mhm.
sometimes that's Jacoby Myers. It's rarely Parker Washington now, but I threw a couple names in the queue as well.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like Josh Jacobs, the legal issues and now the injuries scare me off a little bit. But it does feel like if Josh Jacobs is healthy, like that's just one of the steals of the draft. This guy's consistently a top 10 running back. So I'd be between Jacobs or JMO. Like I'm happy with either of those guys right now. You want to lean towards Jacobs here?
Well, let's talk about Brees Hall. I know we
Yeah,
only got 30 seconds, but the news coming out of Newark, they're going to give him a ton of work.
yeah.
Hopefully, those other guys,
That's definitely
Braylon
more
Allen's
of a
not involved.
ceiling pick than Josh Jacobs. I think I'm fine going Brees Hall here,
Yeah, let's
man.
get Brees Hall. I kind of do want to get a running back here,
Yeah.
just so we've got one. There we
And
go.
it's weird. We got, a bad report yesterday about Geno Smith that he was throwing some picks, but so many of the reports that I have been reading about the Jets are that like Geno Smith looks good and that like the Jets beat is like we haven't seen anything like this in a long time. Granted, they said the same things about Aaron Rodgers before he just completely fell apart in New York, but I mean Geno Smith last year, like behind the league's worst offensive line, there was one weapon in that offense, Brock Bowers, who was hobbling around or out for over half of the season. So I really think that Geno Smith, like we saw him posting elite efficiency when he was in Seattle. If he could look like 80% of that player, we could have faith in this whole offense. And I think the other out with Brees, and who was it? I was just doing a show with somebody. The problem, I do shows with so many people. Sometimes I forget who they're with. But I was doing a show with somebody last week where we were talking about Brees Hall and talking about the limited upside here. And I said, well, I see one of the worst defenses in the league that is going to push them into game scripts where they need to throw the ball. And Brees Hall is a elite pass catcher. Like we've seen every year since his rookie season, pulling a dominant target share. So he might be able to get there with, pulling 80 to 100 targets this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the workload he's going to get there. I want to kind of pop over to something that happened earlier in the draft. We got that news from Mike McDaniel with Amari Hampton saying, hey, fantasy managers, watch out. All 3 guys are going to be involved. And I was really interested to see where he went tonight because NFFC drafts, they're super sharp. And he went at the 1-2 turn still. We have not talked about the quote since we recorded, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you now on Amari Hampton?
I'm not moving it that much because we were already a little bit lower than consensus. Like I had kind of expected some of that. Keaton Mitchell has been getting a solid drum beat. I will say, I think Mike McDaniel just kind of likes to troll fantasy managers. And like, I can't even say kind of, like he straight up said fantasy managers, like he directed towards us. He knew what he was doing. The reality is Omarion Hampton's probably still going to get 20 plus touches per game. I would expect that Kamani Vidal, comes in for some pass blocking reps and gets the occasional target on third down here. And, Keaton Mitchell, I think that he is a legit thing. But like we saw that Devon Achane rookie season where he started breaking out in a big way. That happened about the midway point through the season. Raheem Mostert was still posting RB1 numbers while Devon Achane was posting RB1 numbers, and he was doing it through efficiency. He was getting like 8 to 10 touches per game and was just wildly efficient with those. Raheem Mostert was getting the bulk of the workload. He was getting the touchdowns. And I think that if we're trying to draw a parallel to another Mike McDaniel backfield, that's what we could expect here. Where like Keaton Mitchell can get there on an efficiency basis, but I think Omarion Hampton is still going to get 20 plus touches per game and all of the goal line work and a high scoring offense. I still think he's a fine pick in round 2.
Yeah, I do too. I wasn't too deterred. It seemed like people got, spooked pretty big. It's like that and the substation are the 2 things everybody's getting afraid of this year.
Yeah.
But I wasn't deterred very much at all. Frankly, I'm like, great, I'll be able to get him in the middle of the second round now.
We got Jaquan saying, man, I just had a crazy thought for a league. I need to think it through. Let us know in the chat, man. We like hearing about crazy, weird leagues. I'm excited, man. You can't tease me like that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Seabear saying, what is the highest you guys would draft Chase Brown in a 12-team league? I would take him as early as 10th overall in a PPR league because I do prefer him to, looking at the draft right now, or actually, I'm sorry, I'd take him 11th overall. So where he went right here, 11th overall, that's exactly where I've got him ranked. I've got him as my RB5. I do prefer Lamb, Jefferson, St. Brown, JSN to him, but I think 11th overall is, where he should be going. Not just the earliest I'd take him. That's, I think, exactly where he should be going in drafts.
Yeah. I would like the 11 pick, and whoever falls between Justin Jefferson and Chase Brown, I'll be happy with. That'll be my answer because I think I might actually take Brown over Jefferson just
Even with the Kyler Murray news.
that Kyler Murray news is nice. That's what I mean. Like, I'm just give me the 11 pick, kind of like we were talking about
Yeah.
give me the 2 pick. I don't care, Bijan or Gibbs. I'll be happy with either of them.
Back to our Tedero McMillan conversation. Jeff Bolt saying it's the QB of it all regarding T-Mac, and I understand that. Yeah, Bryce Young. And I've made the joke so many times this offseason, but I'm just going to keep beating a dead horse with it. Worst quarterback in the league is rookie season, bottom 5 next year, top 10 the next year. So he's trending towards at least being like league average this year. So we can get somewhat excited about Bryce Young's ascension through the ranks. Jaquan said, "I'll hit you up once I've thought it through." Well, we will be waiting to hear on that. Now, this, Joey, we just saw Colson Loveland going off the board at the top of round 5. You know, we do these training camp reports over here at Football Guys, which you have got to check out. If you're watching the show and you aren't reading these training camp reports, you're just getting left in the dust. I hate to say it, but like this is some of the best content you can get out there right now. And I cover the Bears in these training camp reports. Part of my process for doing that is listening to as many podcasts as I can, reading every training camp report I can find, reading all of the beat writers' Twitters throughout the week. And I came away after doing hours and hours on training camp research saying, I need to get more Colston Loveland. I mean, we talk so much about Luther Burden and Roma Dunze and the running backs here, but every Bears beat reporter is talking about this guy coming back from last year, that he has put on muscle because last year he was trying to recover from that shoulder injury. We're getting Jason Kelsey comps, or I'm sorry, we're getting Travis Kelsey comps. We're getting Rob Gronkowski comps. We're getting Tony Gonzalez comps, that this guy is just dominating. Like Hogan Johns, who are two guys that I very, very much so respect that cover the Bears, they were throwing around the superstar term willy-nilly, and I don't hear them do that often. They just kept saying, like, this guy is going to be a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, you have to buy into what you saw last year, and then with the Luther Burden news, I mean, right out the gate, it looks like it could just happen right there again, and so...
And I want to say this was before the Burden injury, too. Like, you know, I was listening to stuff from weeks ago where it was like the first week of training camp, and people were just like slack-jawed at the things that Colson Loveland was doing, that like the after-the-catch abilities, the catch radius, and then the biggest thing is that he's put on about 20 pounds since last offseason. So they say that now he is just dominating as a blocker as well, which is changing how defenses have to play against him. They said that there were like multiple plays where Caleb would throw the ball in his direction and they thought it was a poorly thrown ball, and then somehow Loveland would just like come down with it and score a touchdown. They were like, this man's hands, like the ball just sticks to him. Like I'm getting excited now.
Can we go back and take Loveland instead of McMillan?
Got you all excited there, yeah. We got the other Jeff B, our Jeff Blaylock here, saying, "Sorry, Sean G, sad I'm missing the party." Sean said that he was trying to get Jeff to come to Vegas. Well, at worst, Jeff, we'll hope to see you there week 1 when we're there. All right, we are back on the clock, and we were yapping, and I did not pay attention. I have nothing in the queue right now.
Well,
Joey,
I loaded
what are
the
we
queue,
doing?
and then it just got cleared. Swift, Montgomery, Odunze, gone.
Yeah, that's brutal. I do like... I threw 2 names in here. I'd be happy with either of these. Do you like either of those, or am I...
There's one up top.
The one up top, Quinshon Judkins?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's do it, yeah. And I think this is kind of a nice way to do this. You know, we got Puka Nacua, we got Tedero McMillan, 2 wide receivers we feel good about. Brock Bowers can't go wrong there. And then you add in a couple of these mid-round running backs. And Joey, I kind of came up with this on the fly, and then I used it again today on my Reddit AMA. I really like the RB honeypot that we talked about a couple of times on the show today, right? Like the kind of like round 3, 4, 5, 6, there's just like this honeypot of running backs that like everybody is trying so hard to get their running back start this year that you're getting guys like, look at this. And not even like round 3 through 7 is kind of what I have been saying there. Javonte Williams, Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Cam Scattaboo, Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins. These are all guys that have warts in their profile. I'm not going to sit here and say that these guys should be drafted as RB1s, but this is kind of a tenet of your 0 RB, hero RB drafting, is that you want to take these guys that have some question marks at an appreciated value. But like looking at the 2 guys that we got, Breece Hall, we've already seen the top 5 season there. And if he does it again this year, it shouldn't surprise anybody. Quinshon Judkins, you're getting a discount because of the injury, but this guy is a young, talented workhorse on what we expect to be a better Cleveland Browns offense. So you're kind of drafting some of these players that have some red flags in their profile, but if it breaks in your direction and Puka does what he does, Brock Bowers does what he does, Tedero McMillan does what he does, and then Breece Hall and Quinshon Judkins hit that high-end range of outcomes, this team is unbeatable.
Yeah, I love our build so far, and at first I was a little nervous with the Bowers pick, but not real. I mean, I was like, let's do it, because like if you can get the wide receiver 1 and the tight end 1 in a draft, go ahead and do that. And I'm just liking how the team's kind of folding out here. Excited to see what we're going to get next.
And Jeff likes it as well. He said, like the start guys. So thank you, Jeff. And then Xavion asking, or Jimmy Seabear asking if Xavion Thomas is going to be a thing for the Bears. We'll come back to that after we make our pick. Did pick up a small injury, but definitely something worth keeping an eye on there. But Joey, we're a couple picks away. I threw a few names in the chat or in the queue here. Let me look at some other positions and see if anybody else jumps out to me. There's really only one running back that I'd kind of be thinking about here, and I added him to the queue as well. Of those 4 players, is there any one specifically that you're like, yeah, that's the guy that we should take with our next pick?
The top one, if he makes it back to us. We were almost going to take him in the last round.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, and we already said his name once. There we go. Bucky Irving was the one running back we had in the queue, but my goodness, man, like, what bizarro world are we living in right now where Parker Washington is going 402 and we're getting Brian Thomas at 604?
Yeah, I feel really good about that. Last year, if you look at Brian Thomas, he was going at that 1-2 turn in a lot of drafts and had a down season. But all the reports we've heard coming out of Jacksonville or him and Trevor Lawrence have gotten on the same page. He's standing out. So, yeah, I like that pick, especially in the 6th round. Wow.
Yeah, I'm tweeting this out right now, actually, because I just think it's kind of crazy. I'm saying I'm in an NFFC draft with Joey Reif right now. Parker Washington went 402. Brian Thomas went 604. Discuss. And we'll come back to all of those fun replies after the show.
Just you know how to get the people going, Dave.
I mean, that is pretty wild to me.
What would be your Mount Rushmore of Jacksonville Jaguars wide receivers, Dave? Sorry.
All time? I mean, no. Allen Robinson. Oh, all right. Sorry. I get it. The engagement. Yeah, get the people going. I mean, I will, like, in this format where you have to start and manage a lineup, I'm a little bit less apt to taking a guy like Travis Hunter, but still in best ball leagues right now with Travis Hunter falling into like round 14, this guy has 3 paths to contingent upside. If Parker, Thomas, or Myers gets injured, Travis Hunter is easily going to see an expansion in his workload. And even if he doesn't, like if he's just playing 40, 50% of the snaps on any given week, he can still go off for 100 yards and a touchdown on any given week. He is, in my opinion, like the most mispriced player in best ball drafts right now. And of course, we aren't doing best ball today, but I just have to say that.
DK Metcalf just went off the board. He was somebody I was thinking about there.
Did you hear both receivers right now? Metcalf and Pittman are both injured, according to Aaron Rodgers. Neither were at practice today. And Rodgers said they're both dealing with injuries. But this is the time of year where injuries are so weird. Like, we got the soft tissue injury from J.K. Dobbins. That news comes out yesterday. Everybody panics. We're talking about J.K. Dobbins missing all this time. And then did you see today he was back at practice and he was like trolling the media, basically, like, what why are you guys surprised? You guys are the ones that made up the rumors. I'm still out here. Like,
I think he promised this, Dave.
He did, and I'm holding him to it. So does anything else jump out to you? I think the big surprise so far, we saw Chase Brown go to 11th overall. A bit of I don't want to say a shock, but just maybe regulating to where he should be going. Parker Washington at the top of round 4, also a little bit of a surprise. Has anything else jumped out to you so far? It's just, I think Loveland falling into round 5 is quite a surprise. Seeing Josh Allen going ahead of him, seeing some of those receivers going ahead of him. But I think that's just a great value there.
That's a big one. I think the name that I saw fall a little for Jonathan Brooks. Would have loved to seen him make it. The days are gone where he's going to make it back to us in the 7th round. That's crazy. Was Jadarian Price. Like, I guess that news coming out that he might be, injured, that I saw that, and that Charbonnet might be on the field week 1. And there's some questions about Price. Like, it looks like he fell a little further than I've seen him fall on lately.
Yeah, which, it's kind of weird. I had Dwayne McFarland on last week, and we were talking through some different player values, and we both agreed that Price is a very good pick at cost. Like, I don't think he's a great player, and I know he's going to split the backfield there, but at the end of the day, this is a first-round pick. Like, we made the CEH comp that, like, CEH should not have been a first-round pick, but drafted at 32nd overall by the reigning Super Bowl champs, not a good player. He still finished as the RB22 that season. And that was like splitting work, all the same concerns that we have about Jadarian Price. Sony Michel gave us the top 24 season his rookie year after going to the Patriots. Like, when guys are drafted, even Trent Richardson, like the biggest bust we can think of, maybe over the last 20 years, like still gave us one good season before the wheels fell completely off. So Jadarian Price, I don't think he's that good of a player. I think that he was a huge reach by the Seahawks, but I still think there's going to be enough opportunity to justify where he's going in round 6.
Yeah, you mentioned Trent Richardson. I remember using a 3rd overall pick on him.
A lot of people did. Yeah. Tampa Bay snipe for Joey. Oof. Was that the Chris Godwin call out, I imagine? It
might have been the Bucky Irving one.
Could have been Bucky Irving too. Yeah, we had Bucky Irving in the queue. Bucky
I
Irving's
was going
another
to
player
discuss
right
it with
now.
you.
I do like Bucky Irving a lot where he's going in round 6. We would
He's
have been
fallen.
tempted to take him over Brian Thomas Jr. BTJ, not a bad consolation prize. Agree with you there. And Jeff saying, or Sean saying, it's okay, Jeff. We still have our 36 team league. My goodness. Live drafting in a couple of weeks, 36 teams. If you guys have an opening, let me know. Like I said, like getting freaky with the leagues that I play in. The anti-Bucky Irving forces have gone too far, Joey. Agree or disagree?
I like where they've sent him. They might have gone too far, but they pushed him to a point where I am now okay drafting him. Earlier this offseason, I was seeing
I just want you to say that was the exact response I had in my head. I was going to say they have pushed him too far, but I'm happy they have because now I draft him.
No, it's perfect. See him going in the 3rd or 4th round earlier this offseason. I was just like, I'm the biggest Bucks fan there is, and I'm just not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I took him today in a qualifier for the
nice
350.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, like when he was going in round 3 or 4, I was like, this is disgusting. I can't touch this player here. But with him falling now into round 6, that is a really, really easy pick. Jimmy talking about Reed going higher and higher. Was that Jaden Reed? Yeah, we just saw Jaden Reed going at the top of round 7. That one, I've drafted a lot of Jaden Reed, but did you see that they've kind of been alternating 2 wide receiver sets? It seems like Christian Watson is the constant there. And then when they do 2 wide receiver sets, it's either Reed or Golden opposite Watson. So I tweeted it this morning, kind of tongue in cheek, like I was so off on Matthew Golden. And then he had a really strong training camp and I moved him up my rankings last year. Ended up being a huge regret. Was fading Golden this year. But over the last 2 weeks, we've heard nothing but positive stuff. And I'm like, do I fall for it again? Or is this like legit? Like, is Matthew Golden actually somebody to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I still prefer Reed. I think the Packers saw everything they needed to see, best in Christian Watson down the stretch, and then Jaden Reed just feels more dependable for me than Golden. But they did spend draft capital on him 2 years ago, so
yeah, and the draft capital, that is always what people kind of get excited about long term, is hoping that draft capital will work in their favor. I don't know. I do have concerns about Golden, but we'll see. Maybe we take a shot on Golden a little bit later in tonight's draft.
Do you prefer one of these guys to the other in the queue?
I can go either. I've drafted a lot more of the second guy. The guy on top of the queue is somebody I haven't been drafting a ton, but this is why I like doing shows with other people, because it gets me to draft players that I haven't been typically drafting. So this could end up being a good thing for us. And then let me do something. I threw a few names in the queue that we could maybe look at with our next pick, perhaps.
Oh, no, one of them's now gone.
Yeah.
I would like to take Mekhi Lemon.
Let's do it.
Not falling in love more and more with him every week, but I do think Devonta Smith's going to be the wide receiver 1 there with the Eagles. But I think there's going to be enough work from Mekhi Lemon, and he doesn't need to get started off right away. He can kind of come into the season not slow, but doesn't need to be the wide receiver 1, which you see somebody like Carnell Tate. That's what I'm a little worried about. I'm like, I think he's going to need to be the wide receiver 1 on the Titans right away. Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, they've got guys in front of them that can play. So yeah, I like the Mekhi Lemon pick, especially in the 7th round.
Yeah, and he's a guy that, again, I am referencing the show again. We had Dwayne McFarland on the show last week, and we talked about players that we have huge disagreements on, and I'm not overselling it. Like, I found the players that we had the widest disagreements on in our positional rankings, and Mekhi Lemon was one of those guys, and Dwayne is very smart, and Dwayne is in on Mekhi Lemon. My very dumb, brutish take is just like, this is a rookie on a low volume offense. Devonta Smith's going to get his, Goddard's going to get his, Saquon's going to get his, and then you've kind of got Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers splitting touches. I just worry about the path for volume here, but Dwayne made some very good points about him being that guy who can catch the short passes, create after the catch, how that's a big part of Sean Mannion's offense. Of course, the draft capital is there, the talent's there, the college pedigree is there. So now I am starting to think a little bit more about the upside. And the nice thing here, Joey, the way that we drafted this right now, like, we aren't going to be reliant on Mekhi Lemon. Like, the guy that we take in the next round could end up being the guy that we use in our week 1 lineup, because we got Mekhi Lemon so late, because we've already got a wide receiver heavy build. We can kind of sit back and wait to see how this breaks in our favor. Now,
I would kind of like to go with your guy if we can.
Atop the queue?
No, the next guy down.
Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I love it.
Passed on. Yeah. Okay.
I think this, like Jordan Addison, I'm doing my wide receiver rankings article right now, which is going to be published on
Mhm.
Football Guys tomorrow. And I was diving into Jordan Addison a little bit. And I think, last year he had a down year. And I think that has kind of made people forget how good he was early on in his career. I mean, he wasn't elite by any means, but 900 yards as a rookie, 875 yards in year two, 9 and 10 touchdowns in his first couple of years. And then last year, we saw that Minnesota offense was just completely broken. He was dealing with some injuries as well. This is a first round pick. This is a guy just 24 years old. Like, if we expect this offense to be a little bit better, Jordan Addison is one of those guys that I could see easily getting back on track this year and living up to that billing as the round one pick that he was drafted as.
Absolutely. With all this buzz about Kyler Murray's now being named the starter, I've just gotten a lot more confidence in this Vikings offense. Justin Jefferson, of course, I think we were all just expecting him to take a step back to where he was, but Jordan Addison too, to get back to where he was, and TJ Hawkinson too. Like, he hasn't gone away. So yeah, I'm much more in on this Vikings offense than I was even 48 hours ago.
I'm glad you
Which
brought
I
up
expected the Kyler thing to happen, but
right.
until it happens,
Now
sometimes
we
you got to
know.
be a little.
Yeah. And I think regarding TJ Hawkinson, I'm glad you brought him up. I've got Adam Hutchison coming on the show later this week, and we're going to talk about injuries. And of course, we're going to talk about all the people that you would expect, right? Like all the guys that are coming back from injuries, all the players who were injured in camp. But I kind of have a list of guys who were injured 2 years ago and saying, like, what are we doing with these guys, Adam? Because not every recovery is completely linear. Like some guys take a couple of years to bounce back. It took J.K. Dobbins years to bounce back after his major injury. Javonte Williams, it took him 3 down years in Denver to kind of finally rebound and look like the player he was pre-injury in Dallas last year. So I've kind of got a list of guys who went into last year injured and were very, very bad. And now people have just assumed are going to be bad forever and saying, what about TJ Hawkinson? Like now he's 2.5 years removed from that ACL tear. What about Chris Godwin? He's now 2 years removed from that dislocated ankle. Like, are these guys who, like, is their career just over at this point? Or can we bet on that rebound now that they're more than 1 year removed from their injury? Because that's something I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but it does feel like we see that all the time where these guys, Kyle Pitts is another example I could think of, tears his MCL, sucks for the next 2 years, and then bounces back last year looking like his old self. Like, should we be betting on some of these players 2 years after their injury rather than trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do the year after?
Yeah, let him shake if you want to call it rust. I don't
Right.
think we should call it rust, but let him get that year where they're just kind of getting back up to speed. Almost look at it as like when a rookie comes in the league and they need to get up to speed. They've had a year off. They need to get back up to speed. So yeah, Hawkinson's somebody that I like taking late because I can get him late.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I would probably take him a couple rounds earlier than where he's going, but I don't have to. He just keeps falling to me towards the end of drafts.
We've already got Addison in this one, Joey. I am no stranger to big, heavy stacks. And if we can get Kyler Murray a little bit later and then TJ Hawkinson a little bit later, let's push the chips in on this Minnesota offense. This could be a fun
Let's
one.
do it.
So yeah, we'll see.
Get our skull caps while we're sitting on the beach in Hawaii with our $300,000.
Got somebody in the chat saying I want to pick Bucky Irving just because everybody's against him. Yeah, that's a pretty common process I do. Like a lot of times I'm like, I'm going to get this guy just because it seems like everybody hates him and there's no reason to. We got Robert Goldman in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. He says, hi, guys. Hi, Joey. It was nice meeting you in New York for the Flex Leagues. I hope you enjoyed the shows in New York. I'm going to be in New York next week. And then Bob, if I can call you Bob, I know Robert Goldman 9 is the YouTube name, but I think you go by Bob. Let us know if you're going to be in Vegas for either next weekend when I'm going to be there for Draft Nation or week 1 when we're going to be there for NFFC. We got a few Vegas trips coming up that are always a good time. And then Bob also saying, Dave, love your tiers article. Very useful thought process. Thank you. Running backs came out last week. Wide receivers are coming out this week, and then quarterbacks and tight ends. And then Joey and I, we are doing the accompanying podcast as well. So just content machines, Joey. This time of year, like it is just flowing. There are nonstop articles, shows, live streams. There's a lot happening.
I'm glad that all of my content that I do, I get to build community through it. Getting to meet Bob in New York, and because that's how I get to keep doing it. So I like it.
It's fun, yeah. Getting to meet new people. Yeah, I definitely, seeing Pitts fall that far, I'd expect Pitts to be going earlier than round 9. But at the same time, I feel like you've just got to know when you take Brock Bowers that like you're not paying up for a tight end too, and that's why I threw Hawkinson's name out there. Hawkinson's the perfect tight end too, like a guy like, and I'll do it in best ball drafts sometimes where I'll throw in a Tucker Kraft with my Brock Bowers or Kyle Pitts or something like that. But especially here, I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I think their bye weeks overlap as well. Oh no, never mind, 13 and 11, so we'd be good there. I've done it. I like it more in best ball, I think, than I like in managed leagues.
I was just looking at our players. I apologize.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, we are drafting right now. We are just kind of, just BS in here, but we probably should remember that we're in draft with a $300,000 grand prize and take it a little bit serious.
Well, we could do this in our sleeves.
So there's Jacoby Myers going in round 9. So
man,
Parker Washington in round 4, Brian Thomas in round 6, and then Jacoby Myers in round 9. I don't know. I think those guys should be a lot tighter in ADP. I've said it a lot this offseason. It's kind of wild, the assumptions people are making because Parker Washington has very big calves.
Debo going in round 8 before Jacoby Myers as well.
Did you hear the Grant Cohn report about DeJon Stribling, Joey? They did joint practices with the Titans, and he said DeJon Stribling was outplaying Carnell Tate. And he goes, I saw it with my own eyes. He's the best receiver on the team.
There's going to be a lot of crow out there.
For people that of crow, yeah.
We're critical of Stribling.
And that's why, I think it's important to have takes, but the problem is when you say those takes, as egregious and aggressively as people were in March, it's just those come back to bite you. So, Sean saying no Debo slander. Sean, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Sean. It was Steve G. I don't know if he's in the chat today. It was giving me so much guff. I've got Debo. He was just I was taking him in round 16, and I was just we'll see how this works out. And I was just taking Debo, and he just kept being told week after week that Debo was dust. But I feel good about that one. And Grant Cohn isn't the one to listen to. Yeah, every beat reporter has their misses, but I will say Grant, not liked by the team, but he does call it like it is. Joey, I am 2 players that are still in our queue from our last pick that we were discussing. Who do you want to take here?
The reason I said let's go Jordan Addison's, I did feel like that top guy would fall back to us, and that I do like him quite a bit.
I think we go with the quarterback here, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
And I know it's probably going to anger Team 2, who was probably hoping for this, but my goodness, this is just an unbelievable. And I guess there's the offensive tackle issue that might be scaring some people away. I don't know. I'm tilting. I just threw another name in the queue as well. I've got 3 names in the queue. Joey, you pick one of those.
Let's take the smiley guy. Let's take J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I love J.K. Dobbins. I've been drafting him a lot. And we had a nice little argument about J.K. Dobbins on yesterday's show.
I was really critical of him. And the best way to be wrong when you're critical is when you win $300,000. So if we're that close in between them, with the other running back there that was there, I don't have any Dobbins this year. The bye weeks line up. He is our RB3. I like him as an RB3. Where he's going, the value, I'm fine with.
We got this take. I'll take Diggs over Devo 10 times out of 10. I agree with that. What are your thoughts there, Joey?
I completely agree. I mean, Diggs is going to be possibly the wide receiver 1 on the Commanders. Sorry, Terry McLaurin truthers. And I think I would still take Terry McLaurin well before Diggs. But there's a very real situation where Diggs just fits in there at the Commanders and gets back to where he was. Just keep him away from your sisters. That's what all the teammates said.
That is what they say. And I'm surprised that Team 2 who had Stephon Diggs, I thought for sure that they were going to take Jaden Daniels. And I thought about it there, but I do got to say with Laramie Tunsil getting injured, that does concern me just a little bit. I don't know, man. The Commanders just feel cursed. It's just a team that every time I click a commander, I just get a little bit scared.
Is there somewhere we can chat? Because I moved a player up because... Yeah,
I mean, I'm with it, man. You know me. I will reach for players that I want. I love both of these players that are in the queue right now, which I think makes it kind of tough. Looking like we don't really have a position of need. Well, there goes one of them, Kyle Monangai. And I feel like that was probably one of the steals of the draft. Kyle Monangai was going so much earlier in drafts, but his ADP, he really spiraled over the last couple of weeks the last week because he was dealing with that injury, his absence at the start of camp. So he should have been going a couple of rounds earlier. I typically see him going right alongside Blake Corum, but I think because of that mysterious injury, somebody got a really good deal there, and I was hoping we could have got that.
Yeah, I'm on pins and needles right now. We got one guy in the queue.
Yeah, and if he gets drafted, I'm not going to feel great.
I tilt when people take my people. So
yeah, Well, here, let me throw
Ugh.
somebody else in the queue that could make us feel a little bit better, just in
Yeah.
case. Now we got a fallback plan. Now we don't have to tilt. I'd feel pretty good about this player. You know what? Even better about this one if we have to do that route. If
Yeah,
that's
because
where
I
we want to
love
go because of the stack. Yeah,
that's where I
yeah.
would want to go.
All right, we got our guy,
Nope, we
and
don't have
now
to.
all right, we got our guy, and now I'm going to pull up
Yeah.
Jeff Bolt's mean comment here, and we can discuss this one where he says, "Dejon Stribling, the Darius Hayward Bays of Jonathan Mingo's."
Oh, that's terrible.
I don't remember Jonathan Mingo or Darius Hayward Bay having good camps like this. I mean, I am still a believer here, and especially with Mike Evans already dealing with the injury. I think we're going to see a discount on Stribling now that Kittle is looking good in camp, but this is still a guy, he's not making it back to us in the next round. Like, this guy is never really making it out of round 10 at this point, so I'm okay just reaching for that guy as a guy that we don't need to rely on. Like, this is our wide receiver 6. I mean, if he pans out, awesome, and if he doesn't, we'll be just fine without him.
Well, we talked about Mekhi Lemon, that if he takes a little bit to get up to speed, or Puka misses, let's say he gets suspended for a week. Deshaun Stribling to start the season off, let's go. I did throw something in the private chat for you.
I see that.
Next round. Okay.
Yep. I like that quite a bit. Yeah. And I mean, this is what I'm constantly trying to do as well, is like thinking through what the next move is going to be and the next move and giving us kind of not just a path for the players that we want to draft, but like different exit ramps for different stacks and different options. So I think we like that. Sean saying Debo is in shape, motivated, looking good in camp. We have heard that before about many, many players. Love how Dave stays consistent with his second round Brock Bowers. I didn't plan on getting Brock Bowers tonight, people. Like, I did not think he was going to make it to us at the end of the second round, but at that value, I don't know how you could possibly pass on that one.
I was watching AJ Brown and Drake London just fall, and I was like, oh man, it'd be so fun to have Puka in London. And just Bowers was out of my head. And then when I saw you throw him in the queue, I was like, well, of course, that's what we're doing.
And we got Jimmy Seabear loving the Stribling pick, so thank you for that one. And Jeff B saying, wasn't Jeff Bolt? He does not want to be associated with any Dejon Stribling slander. He said the better looking Jeff B, and we got some Jeff B love. Did you hear what they came up with last week, Joey? You know, we got Jeff Bell, Jeff Blaylock, Jeff Bolt, a lot of Jeff B's. The Jeff Beehive. Come on, how good is that? B-E-E-H-I-V-E, the Jeff Beehive? Come on, like, that's really good.
I like it. I like it.
Really good.
I got to
Jake
go have
on
coffee
saying,
with go ahead.
Yeah, you were part of the Beehive. 2/3 of the Beehive was there in Canton.
They were, yeah. No, all three of them were there.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. All right. I didn't know Jeff Blaylock was there. Very cool. Yeah. Awesome.
Blaylock was holding down the football guys booth while Joey kept getting pulled away to go do stuff.
Jaquan saying, I got Stribling late in one rookie draft, so I'm digging the hype, or maybe I should sell high. I don't know why you'd try to sell high, man. Like, wait to see what we got here. This guy was drafted 33rd overall, one round away from being a round 1 pick. We're getting, like, since OTAs, the drumbeat has been so deafening. I remember a lot of people were saying, like, sell your Puka Nakuas for round 3 picks while you can. I don't know. Wait to see how it plays out. I think it's too early to try to cash in. Jimmy Seabear saying Strib looks fantastic so far.
Let me just say about Stribling, like, if somebody is going to egregiously overpay, sure. But it'd be tough for me to move off of Stribling.
We got a GoPro saying, what rounds are we finding value for the quarterback? Everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere, everything, all at once.
There you go. That's a good movie, too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like loading up right now. Like, I'm looking, and I'll just throw the top of the, not our queue, but just the top of ADP right now. Quarterbacks still available. Like, here we are, Joey, in round 11. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Jackson Dart, Jared Goff, Bo Nix. These are all guys that feel like QB1s in any other season. Like, it feels like the QB1 tier this year just bleeds like 22 quarterbacks deep.
I mean, Stafford was a top 4 quarterback last year. Like, we just saw it happen. Now, does that happen again? I guess we'll have to see.
He was a top 3 quarterback, Joey. He was the QB3 in scoring. And I looked, like, every single year we have seen somebody drafted in the double-digit rounds who has returned top 5 value or better. Every single year. And a lot of years we have multiple guys do it. Last year was Stafford. The year before that, both Baker and Jaden Daniels. The year before that, I forget who it was, but like every single year we see this happen.
50% of the guys taken outside of the top 12 quarterbacks finish in the top 12 every year. Like, up until I did a report when I was working for a different company where I tracked, it was like 8 seasons in a row. It was like exactly 50% of quarterbacks taken outside of the top 12. 50% of them finished inside the top 12. because it's that, 1 through 3, you kind of know what's going to happen, but that 4 to 12, you just never know.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I like, and I like even like double tapping quarterbacks for that reason, where you can kind of set yourself up for like, even if the guy that you put your chip on late doesn't pan out, like setting yourself up for another option there. And Joey, I'm just looking at this team right now. Like this is how so many of my teams look, where it's just like, paying up for a Bowers or a McBride or a Loveland or a Warren, and then just nothing but yellow and green. And then you'll mix in some quarterbacks late. And like still, we're talking about these quarterbacks. We saw Caleb get drafted. We saw Jalen Hurts get drafted. But so many of the other quarterback names that we mentioned are still just sitting out there right now for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, we've got one team out in front of us right here that does not have a quarterback. And I think there's a direction they could go. Oh, I know. I want that guy too.
If we can go 1 and 2 in the queue right now, I would. I might just close out the stream and say, thank y'all. We will have fun with our $300,000 and we'll see you next year.
Do you think we need to take 1 before 2?
Yeah.
I think we probably do. Okay.
I think so. Yeah. So we're going with the guy atop the queue right now.
Yeah. And this is what I messaged Dave when we got Stribling. I said, if Lawrence is gone, if Lawrence and Caleb are gone, let's go Brock Purdy with our next pick. So I am pumped because Brock Purdy, every year I find a quarterback that's going late, QB 14 right now in ADP, I believe. And I know he's going to return on that value. Absolutely, there's no way he doesn't, unless the substation just takes it all from San Francisco. But
and the thing too, like I realize Purdy is falling in drafts now because of the injuries that are piling up in San Francisco. Purdy was still given QB1 value last year, thrown to Kendrick Bourne and DeMarcus Lawrence, and like it does not matter. He has just enough rushing upside. We trust in this Shanahan offense. Like he is going to be fine. And we got Sean G saying, called it. He did. He typed in Purdy right as I was making the click. We saw that go through. Yeah. And then you're getting a little shout out, a little love in the chat. Joey, didn't you draft Lawrence and Stafford super late in a bunch of drafts last year? That was kind of your method last year. So I'm going to listen to Joey when it comes to late round quarterbacks.
Yeah, I got a lot of flack for the first 4 weeks because I said, listen, I know what Liam Cohen can do with Trevor Lawrence. And the first 4 weeks, I look like egg on my face. And then from week 5 on, he was the QB2 rest of the season. And I was on a very prominent show that they brought me on midseason.
You can say it, ESPN. Strut your stuff.
Yeah, I was on ESPN. And it was pretty cool. And then very cool on the very last episode, they all gave me my flowers. They said, they had a whole segment, Joey Wright was right about Trevor Lawrence. And like, they didn't have to do that. So kudos to them. Sometimes in life, you got to take your punches, and sometimes it works out for you. So
we got Jeff saying those 30 receptions for 350 yards from Stribling will count twice now that we have Brock Purdy. And Jeff is getting some laughs from Sean in the chat. My wide receiver. Sorry, I got a little bit lost there. Let's flip back over to the draft room where we are 1 pick away and we got 2 guys on the queue. Great spot to be. I think we got to go with the running back here, right, Joey?
Yeah,
like everybody is falling right to us.
This is incredible.
This is unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, we have been getting such positive reporting on Chris Rodriguez, and this is another one of my guys. Did you see they came out with the depth chart today, Joey?
Please tell me he was up top, but
he was.
Of course he was.
I mean, it was Chris Rodriguez / Bashal Tutin as the RB1, but like this guy and this, this. In best ball, I definitely like Chris Rodriguez more than in managed leagues. I think in managed leagues, you probably do need an injury for him to really realize the upside. But even in this, like, if we get there, if Bashal Tutin doesn't miss any time, we feel good about it. Even if Bashal Tutin isn't missing time, if he is active, I still feel like during bye weeks and injuries, like I just did a show with Theo Greminger. It's out on the RotoWire YouTube channel that you can check out now, where we were making comps for different players. And I said, I think Chris Rodriguez has a 2022 Jamal Williams type of season where it's just going to be touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. We know this is going to be a high-scoring offense. We know they get into these high-leverage opportunities, and they are already showing in training camp that they're pulling Bashal Tutin off the field there. Chris Rodriguez could easily get 10, 15, maybe even 17 or 18 touchdowns this year.
And it would not, like, let's say it didn't happen last year with Bashal Tutin, where they weren't pulling him off once they get inside the 20s, but they did it last year with Travis Etienne. So it's just like, okay, this is the second season in a row. They're not just trying to see what Rodriguez can do. I don't think they trust Tutin once they get down there.
You got a real slobber knocker on the team, Joey.
Yeah, glass eater.
Glass eating slobber knocker. That's going to be, I'm going to have that team name in a lot of fantasy leagues this year. And I think, Go Prez, he says it perfectly. Rodriguez falls forward and gets 5 yards. And I also think there's something like this is something that we saw Bill Belichick, like he probably was one of the first to do this. We saw the goal line running back coming in. And I feel like it's one of those things that like we saw for a short period of time. Like it felt like every team kind of had like their goal line vulture, and then that kind of disappeared. But then Ben Johnson brought it back, and I think it makes so much sense, Joey. Like when you've got a running back who has been, taking, let's say 8, 12 snaps where he's taking a couple carries, he's picking up some blockers, whatever it is, like, he's getting worn down by the time they're driving by the field. And that's why we would see like David Montgomery, Jamal Williams, these guys, like they just walk in with fresh legs and then they just walk into the end zone. Like they are fresh. Well, the defense and the offense are both tired from this drive that's been happening. When you could just pull a guy in off the field and all you got to do, or off the bench, and all you got to do is just find a little crease and pick up 3 yards and get a touchdown. Like I don't remember Jamal Williams ever getting stopped. Like that year in Detroit, he would step onto the field, they'd give him the ball, and he would just go untouched into the end zone. Maybe have to break one tackle on his way there. But I think that now teams are starting to realize, because we saw Ben Johnson do it last year with Kyle Monangai. We saw the Detroit Lions doing it for years with Jamal Williams and David Montgomery. And Liam Cohen is a very cutting-edge, young, creative coach. If he sees that this is what other coaches are doing successfully, I think he wants to have that role in his offense as well.
Absolutely. And I believe it's Liam Cohen and Chris Rodriguez. It was the Kentucky connection, right, Dave?
It was, yeah. They played together. It was that Will Levis, Wan'Dale Robinson team. And I mean, I forget the exact numbers, but I want to say Chris Rodriguez had over 300 touches that year. I don't think he'll get that type of workload, but definitely. And we got Robert Goldman saying C-Rod is number 1 with Tootin on the depth chart. And then Sean G saying, listen to that show this morning, Dave. I did a fun show with Theo Greminger. He wanted to talk about finding this year's JSN, and he said, let's try to look at like players from last year that can, do something this year. And of course, I just went way too far with the assignment, and I didn't do like any 2025 comps. That's a good pick right there. I didn't do any 2025 comps. I said Malik Neighbors is going to be 2017 Keenan Allen. Can you get to that one, Joey? Coming back from an ACL tear and a wide receiver 3 in scoring, his first year back from an ACL tear, falling deep down drafts because of the ACL concern. The other one I had, and I put a lot of thought into this one, I said DJ Moore is going to be 2015 Brandon Marshall, atop the age curve, leaves Chicago after a couple years of trending downward, goes to New York, 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. Tell me you can't see DJ Moore following that same exact path.
No, and DJ Moore he was on our queue at one point.
He was.
I took him as my wide receiver 2 in the 4th round earlier today, and I didn't even think twice about it in that qualifier draft. I love the opportunity DJ Moore has in Buffalo. It seems like they love what he's doing there already in camp. So
yeah, and that's it. I think DJ Moore is going to be a huge riser in drafts. We have heard, I mean, you want to talk about a drumbeat, like people are saying that he is just unbelievable out there. The defensive backs are saying he's unguardable. The connection at every level of the field has been there. We got GoPrez in the chat saying Moore's catching dimes from JA-17. Yeah, that's one, like, to me, and it's exactly what I wrote in the Football Guys magazine, where I said, like, DJ Moore is a receiver trending down, aging over the last few years of his career. There it is, the Football Guys magazine. We've still got a few left. Shop.footballguys.com if you want to
magazine. It's a draft guide.
Yeah, I feel like a magazine, that does a disservice to what a beautiful piece of art this thing actually is. But I talk about that and I say, like, surface level, there are so many reasons to fade DJ Moore. But sometimes you just have to, like, zoom out and just say DJ Moore is good, the Bills are good, Josh Allen's good, everything's good. Draft DJ Moore. GoPrez saying the Bills should have traded for him 4 years ago. I agree. We didn't even talk about the reconnection with Joe Brady as well. Like, that's when he had some of his best years were under Joe Brady in Carolina. I mean, there was a very intentional move to go out and get DJ Moore. Joey, what are your thoughts on Alec Pierce? I am 100% out. I know you just drafted him in flex leagues a couple weeks ago. But stories have changed quite a bit since.
Yes, they have. The day of, they were changing. I'm actually worried about that entire Colts offense, which a month ago I was all in on. I was taking Daniel Jones, I was taking Downs, I was taking Pierce. And do they have a substation in Indianapolis? That's what I'm wondering, because it seems like they're falling down the same thing. So, you're getting a lot of conflicting reports. It's hard for me I need to move him down in my rankings. There's a few players, like Jackson Dart was somebody I was really high on in this offseason. And as I've been in drafts, I've been following my heart, and I've not been taking Jackson Dart. So I need to just make that conscious decision in my rankings and move Jackson Dart down because I have him as my QB8 right now. I need to move him down.
Yeah, he's one of those guys I was drafting a lot of and have just slowly kind of moved him down. It's not even that I'm moving him down. I'm moving other players up. And as I'm moving other players up, I just seem to keep moving guys ahead of Jackson Dart. Like, I don't think I've ever once clicked Jackson Dart's name instead of moving Jackson Dart down. But, Kyler Murray bumped him up. Oh, okay. I think we got an easy choice here. And that's the quarterback that we talked about way earlier in the show, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I do like the other quarterback as well, but I feel like this works better with the stack, with the upside. Yeah. And I get the case for both guys, but I think Kyler Murray, this guy, I'm just a big believer. Like, I don't know where you settled in your rankings, Joey. I've got him in a tier with a few other guys that would be between like QB8 and QB11.
For Kyler?
Yeah.
Wow. I love how bold you are on that. And I'm not even pushing back on it because I can definitely see a path there. He has one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. We've seen Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison both produce like wide receiver 1 and 2 on the field in the past.
So here I lied.
I said
8 to 11.
Like you're an idiot, Dave. It's just like, man, I love how bold you are.
I lied when I said 8 to 11. It's actually a tier from 9 to 12. But the tier that I have,
that's not. No,
it's
still.
It's Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and Jackson Dart. I have all those guys lumped in a tier together, and it's all
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I want Purdy a lot in drafts this year, so like I would take Purdy ahead of Kyler, but I mean we did here. But you mentioned Jalen Hurts. I'm just like, the volume on Jalen Hurts I'm worried about.
Yeah. We got Jeff B saying, same with my dynasty rankings. I moved people ahead of Dart, but I didn't move Dart down. I think that's one of those things that like maybe only a very select people will understand, Joey. Like, I know not a lot of people are managing their own rankings, but that's definitely one of those things that I get, you get, Jeff B gets as well. I mean, it's just like, I don't hate Dart for whatever reason. It's just like I keep finding reasons to like other guys, and there's been nothing that has made me want to like Jackson Dart more. Like, it's been a quiet off season.
It really has. And the only buzz that's really come around with Dart this offseason has been when he's on a stage doing an interview. And that's not the buzz you want to see happen.
Yeah. That is absolutely the truth.
I want to shout out Team 6 taking Jared Goff in the 12th round. I just kind of like that pick for their team, getting Amon St. Brown in the first round. I just like that pick for them.
That's a good team. I like what they did. Tajay Spears was the guy that I had a top RQ. That's a bummer that we don't get that. But yeah, Team 6, I love that build. Like, I don't say that you should be stuck to any sort. Oh, well, let's make our pick and then we can talk. Got a wide receiver in here, but I'm not crazy about him. If I'm honest.
Not either. I'm gonna look real quick.
I threw a running back in the queue. I don't know if this guy tickles.
Yeah, I mean, I like him.
It's probably a little early for him, but I feel like every time I say, we can get him in the next round, we never do.
Yeah, let's take him. Because I want him on the team.
Yeah,
get him on the club.
Why not? I feel like let me see. There's one other thing we could do, Joey. Is it too early for that?
No, I don't think it is. Somebody's already taken one, and I don't like the one that they took. So
let's go with the running back first. This is a guy that you and I have both talked about a lot, and this is one we don't need to start Nick Singleton, but he is getting good buzz. Like, he is already healthy after breaking his foot in the spring, and right now we got Breece Hall, Quinshon Judkins, J.K. Dobbins, Chris Rodriguez, throwing Nick Singleton on as our RB5. I mean, my major thing is that I just think that we can see late in the year like a new coaching staff, that didn't choose Pollard or Spears. They're both on expiring contracts. Like, I'm going to be holding Nick Singleton for 14 weeks on a lot of rosters just on the hope that he can be that kind of league-winning hammer through the fantasy playoffs. So we'll see how that. And then Jeff B calling out Team 6, the Amon-Ra Goff stack. They also got Laporta, so just pushing the chips in. If there's an offense that I'm going to push the chips in, it is going to be the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Chargers. So they got one of the two that you want there. Jeff Bell in the chat. All right, we got the whole beehive here today. Jeff B, and Jeff B asking, who are you? I'm the other Jeff B. Jeff B. The Jeff Beehive is in the chat. How about that, Joey? We got them all here tonight. How fun.
They're all here. They all came for the show. Dave, let me tell you what I like with the Nick Singleton pick. When J.K. Dobbins steps off the field in week 6, when he breaks his pinky promise, we'll have Nick Singleton to carry us the rest of the season.
Exactly. I love it. Yes. And we hope he won't break the pinky promise, but we'll see. And then also I want to shout out Jeff. We see him in the chat tonight. Jeff and I are going to have a late night. Joey, as soon as you and I are done drafting this team, Jeff and I hop on. We do our training camp report episode. Last week's was about 2 hours. We're probably planning to do that again, maybe even longer because there's even more news this week. But do have to shout that out as just like really, really good content. We go through, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this if it weren't for the training camp reports that our staff puts together, but we have bullet points on every single team, and we are going to discuss them all. We put this episode up on YouTube last week, and you know how it is, Joey. Like, you want to stay under an hour. Like, there's kind of like once a video hits over an hour, it just dies on YouTube. We just put one out those 2 hours, and we said, let's see what happens. And people have been loving this episode. So that, to me, you know, we'll do it again. That episode, we're going to record it tonight. It'll be out tomorrow. And then, oh, look at this. Barb in the chat saying, been listening tonight. Great advice, taking it all in. Thanks for hanging out with us. I do want to go back to one of these other questions, though. Jimmy C. Bear saying, Dave Joey, is that the highest you've drafted Stribling? I don't know about you, Joey. That's the highest I've drafted him. I've kind of been getting him in round 11 or 12, but this is one like with the good buzz that we have been getting. I said it earlier. I said that this is a guy I am willing to chase up draft boards, and I said that round 10 is going to kind of be my cutoff. We got him in round 10 here. I wasn't thinking about taking him in round 9, but I think round 10 is about the highest that I'm willing to chase him.
I mean, I'm just looking at who went in round 9. I would take Stribling over RJ Harvey right now. I would take him over Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few picks that I can kind of nitpick in there, but I think for the most part, like, yeah, this is where I've got Stribling in my rankings. I want to check. Coker is a close one. I've been drafting a lot of Coker as well, and I probably should have defaulted to my rankings here. So I do actually have in my rankings, it's Jalen Coker, Jaden Higgins, and Dejon Stribling. I have those guys kind of in a tier, and I think that Coker is probably the safer pick, but where we were at with this wide receiver heavy build already, having Puka, having Tedero McMillan, Brian Thomas Jr., Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Addison, we weren't looking for a safe player. We were looking for an upside play, and I think the upside for Stribling is higher than Coker.
I agree. With Stribling, the opportunity is absolutely there, and we saw the talent coming out of the draft. Darn you, Team 11, for taking the Rams there.
Yeah,
but you're talking about upside picks, and just like the Tank Dell, if he can get back on the field and be healthy and return to form in the 14th round, that's an incredible pick.
Yeah, and he's another one that, like, he was a free pick going in round 20 not too long ago and starting to move up. I mean, I haven't seen him like in pads or 11 on 11s yet, but I have just seen him running routes, and like he looks no different than the player he was pre-injury, just like cutting on a dime.
Well,
so we got somebody asking why so low on Kincaid. I'm not low on Kincaid. I've been drafting a lot of Kincaid. I just, especially with us having Bowers, we were talking about like players that we would have taken. Like I'd have taken Stribling ahead of Kincaid. If we needed a tight end, I'd probably go Kincaid ahead of Stribling. But with our team build right here, I wasn't even thinking about Kincaid at that point.
You're exactly right. Is that Go Prez? Put them back up. Is that Sal's son? I don't know. That might be Sal Lito's son.
Maybe. I don't know.
It looks just like as I've seen from pictures.
Go Prez. Let us know if we know your dad. Jeff Bell in the chat saying do good works and no tricks are needed. That is the truth. And of course, you know, you gotta ham it up a little bit for YouTube and give the people something that will entice them to click. But yeah, good content is just gonna win out. That's just the way this game is played. All right, Joey. We still got one guy in the queue that I'd be moderately tempted with if we want to go with.
I was hoping you were going to make it back to us.
I know, right? Like, there's so many of these guys too that like having to switch from like I'm doing like 10 best ball. My dad is Puerto Rican and 260 pounds, so not Salito.
I mean, Sal's put on a lot of muscle, but he's not. He's Italian.
Not 260. Yeah, he's too lean to be 260. But well, that's funny. That is not Sal's son. But yeah, it's tough for me. And I don't know about you, Joey. You know, doing so many different drafts. Like I just did a dynasty startup recently. I'm doing best ball drafts every single day. Then we're doing these redraft drafts. Then we're doing the big tournament drafts. It's like constantly trying to like shift players you're looking for. Like the guy that I have in the queue right now, I love as a best ball pick. But the reality is, like, do we need a wide receiver 7 that we're probably never going to start? I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm kind of just glancing around at what else is available.
Yeah, it's gross right now, man. It dries up really, really quickly. You know, you do always have to scroll down pretty far on NFFC. There's always some hidden names in there. I threw, I do like the name that you put in there as a wide receiver.
Yeah,
also
I would like to take I would either this round or the next round. I think we'll be there the next round though. So I don't think we need to take him now, but I would like to take him in the next round.
Who do you want to take right now?
I don't mind that running back you put in there.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been such a quiet camp. Like I
Yeah.
want to like him, but we just haven't gotten any good news. Let's take the running back though, and then we'll see which of these receivers falls back to us.
Okay. All right. I like that.
And I still like it's tough because you definitely want to pay attention to training camp news, and there's been nothing about Katrin Allen so far. It's been Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Rashad White, Katrin Allen probably from the outside looking in, which for a day 3 running back is pretty par for the course, but you also have to remember that it is the second week of training camp. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Rashad White are healthy right now. Like one of those players gets injured, and then all of a sudden Katrin Allen is on the fantasy radar. So, once we get this close to the draft, a lot of the value is bled out of ADP. Like you're not getting these crazy values. I looked, Joey, I got DeJon Stribling in a couple of these NFFC drafts, like over the last few months, where I was getting him in round 20. He was my last pick. Like I'd get my kicker and my defense and then take DeJon Stribling after. All of those like savvy late round picks are just no longer available.
Yeah, I was looking at a draft that we did earlier, and where we got Stribling, I think it was 14th round, and got Stephon Diggs like in the 18th round, just where he was just not going. And it's
Deebo Samuel was going in the 18th round.
Yeah.
Like there are all these players now that are going in the single digits that you're able to just get for free at the end of drafts.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Brooks, when I was doing drafts right after the NFL draft, I had a tweet that went like mega viral where I said something about Jonathan Brooks being a winner from the NFL draft, and then his ADP started to creep up from there. But you were getting him in round 12 after the NFL draft, and now nothing happened. Like it was literally just people realizing, wait, this is probably not a good price. He jumped from round 12 to round 6 before OTAs even opened.
I just want to say, had I known Greg Dulcich's picture looked like that, we would have taken him like 4 rounds earlier. Like I did not.
He does have one of the best headshots in the NFL.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Also, I'm looking. Did we miss out on the tight end too that we wanted, Joey? Yeah, we did. He went in round 14. We talked about doing like the big Viking stack. I gotta say though, man, there's a guy that should not be available right now.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Let's take him.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. I mean that's an easy pick. Like, had I seen this guy 4 rounds ago, we probably would have taken him. That's just a wild value right there, getting Brenton Strange that late.
I'm not convinced those 2 guys are not still going to be there in the next round, to be honest.
I think they will be. Yeah, and that's why like we don't have any need for receiver right now. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 6 receivers all taken round 10 and inside of that. So this is where we got our 2 quarterbacks. We're loading up on these injury away, high upside running backs. We got ourselves a tight end too. Maybe we mix another wide receiver in here, but we still need a defense. We still need a kicker. Like I can go 2 more running backs here. And like that is, I don't know if this is considered a 0 RB build because we took running backs in rounds 4 and 5, but like this is one where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs, but like how many do you feel really good about?
I feel good about 3 of them, and I feel really good about 3 of them. I feel good about 1, and then 2, I'll eat some crow on.
Little Sal is normally in New York, but it was his birthday, so Sal is not in New York right now. Late Night with Kluge is better than any late night show. That's only because Conan got canceled. Conan was definitely running a better show than I was, but I do appreciate the thank you. Jeff saying the irony about this Stribling discussion is that I was higher on him than the Football Guys rookie guide writers before the NFL draft. Then John Lynch reached. It's not a reach. He made the pick, so we adjust after the draft. Who's going to be Miami's top receiver? That's a loaded question, Joey. Could be Caleb Douglas, could be Jalen Tolbert, could be Malik Washington, could be Chris Bell, could be Greg Dulcich, could be Devon Achane. Who do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be me. I think they're going to call me up. I do like Jalen Tolbert. I think he had a good thing going there with Dallas, and I was just waiting for them to give him the opportunity. I think he's going to get that opportunity in Miami for what I saw like 3 or 4 years ago for him to break out there. Malik Washington, I was kind of in on earlier this offseason, and I've kind of faded on him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he's locked in as one of the top 2 guys. I tweeted something yesterday that I said Jalen Tolbert has an equal chance of being the team's wide receiver 2 and getting cut. That should tell you everything you need to know about the Dolphins depth chart right now.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that about almost every player on the Dolphins, except for Achane.
Yeah, and even Achane, I've got some concerns about.
Travis up that late.
Yeah, I mean Travis Hunter, he's a guy I've drafted so much of already that I just like can't keep drafting him in these
Yeah,
NFFC drafts. Like I have him on almost every single team. We got Sean saying Dulcich will be the top receiver, and I think that's very, very possible. You just
very
look at it.
likely.
He's dealing with an injury as well, like everybody else is in camp right now. Jeff Blaylock saying that he loved the Strange pick, great value there. Agree. Jimmy Seabear saying that you sniped him on Stribling in SFB 16. How could you, Joey?
Hey, I want to shout out Jimmy. Donated. I'm gonna just put him on blast here a little bit. $250 to play in the
Nice.
St. Jude's League with me. So thank you very much, Jimmy.
We
Greatly
have different
appreciate you.
definitions of putting people on blast. I think that is a thank you, Joey.
Yeah, it is. I guess it is. I didn't know the proper term. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to put him on the spotlight. I guess. Great contribution, and he got entered. Anybody that donates that 250 to play in that St. Jude's League, of course, the money's going to a great cause. But I created a chat where like you have direct access to me. I will answer each and every one of your questions all this season.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
yeah,
Nice. We got Jeff saying you have Brees Hall and Quinshad Judkins. Zero RB is Jordan Mason and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And I agree, but it's just like with the way that running backs are getting pushed up drafts this year, like Brees Hall and Quinshon Judkins, it feels like in any other year, these are guys that should be going in like round 6 or 7, but all of the running back value is kind of getting pulled up a little bit. It's just, I don't know, man. Like ADP doesn't make any sense this year. I kind of, I did a Reddit AMA earlier today, and I'm going to pull this up real quickly because there was one question that I really liked. Somebody said, what is the insight or prediction you have about the 2026 season, which you believe most sets you apart from this year's conventional wisdom? And my response was running backs are being overvalued off a fluke season. Decades of historical data showing that they get injured more than any other position shouldn't be ignored because they stayed mostly healthy last year, especially in PPR leagues. I'm taking wide receivers early and often this year and targeting the middle round running backs everybody else is letting fall deep down draft boards. And then when he asked me for some targets, I said, Quinshon Judkins, J.K. Dobbins, Chris Rodriguez. Like, these are the exact reason that I'm okay passing on running backs because I feel like there's just so much good value that you can get, not even in like the middle rounds, but like the early to mid rounds.
it's so. There goes Judy. We've had him
Good.
in our queue, folks, for about 4 rounds, and we just like, let's not go there. Let's not go there. No, I mean, it is the weird thing about we just did the running back episode, and a couple times in the show, you're like, now is this the dead zone? Is this the dead zone? And I feel like every
I don't know if
tier
there
of
is
running
a
back,
dead zone this year.
there's a few guys that I would like to have.
Yeah. I think if we had to pick a dead zone, because that's what everybody talks about every single year, it's probably like the rounds 3 through 6 picks, right? Like Javonte Williams, people are going to point to the bad efficiency from last year and say he's a dead zone pick. Jeremiah Love, bad offense, dead zone pick. Kyron Williams has Blake Corum behind him, dead zone pick. Brees Hall, bad offense, dead zone. Josh Jacobs, aging, injuries, lawsuits. He could be a dead zone guy. Travis Etienne, crowded backfield, dead zone. DeAndre Swift, splitting touches with Monangai, dead zone. David Montgomery, aging running back, dead zone. So I think that's kind of like where people would say the dead zone lies, but I don't know, just because we came up with this term 10 years ago, that there's a running back dead zone, doesn't mean that there's a dead zone every single year.
Now, if you're watching the show or listening, and all those names you rattled off, you were like yelling at your computer or your TV, like, Dave, I like all these players.
So do we.
Start wide receiver, and take those running backs then, because you absolutely can in drafts this year.
And let's see, we've got Jeff saying, I have an article on Football Guys saying the running back value is pretty similar year over year on ADP. I'll have to check that out because it's certainly, I mean, I will say this board that we're looking at right now, there's a lot more yellow up top than there has been. It feels like things are starting to regulate a little bit. Like it was especially 2 years or like 2 months ago. That's when you would see so much green atop the boards. And we got to remember here on NFFC too, full point PPR, 3 wide receivers and a flex spot. So this scoring is heavily juiced towards wide receivers, but it does seem like we're starting to see things. I mean, like when we did that mock draft that we did an episode on a few months ago, Joey, I remember talking about it that like 18 of the first 24 picks at that point were running backs. Like everybody was getting their running backs early, and now we're starting to see the running backs and wide receivers mixing in a little bit better.
You want to take the guy?
Let's do it. Let's have
I love
fun
this pick.
here. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's a talented player. Got a $36 million contract and then got injured last year, had a down season, but 9 touchdowns just 2 years ago. He's already raving about how Declan Doyle is using him and how he sees him, so I like it. And then Jimmy, you're very welcome, Joey. I missed this chat. This was you're welcome for the thank you joining the NBC draft, or I'm sorry, CBS draft that you're doing there. Sean
NBC's
B.
not doing it.
Yes,
I don't
CBS.
know.
Sean G
Yeah.
saying ADP out the window in high stakes drafts, you get your guys. And Joey, I texted you that before the show when we were talking about this draft. I said,
Dave
like,
said, "Do you want me to say what you said?" No, I'm kidding.
I don't even remember exactly what I
You're like,
said.
Joey, I'm really excited to have you on the draft to get your insights, but you need to listen to me because we're not going to follow ADP. I'm like, that's
Yes.
fine, Dave.
It's true. We see it all the time in these drafts. Like I have these guests come on and they're like, well, his ADP is here. We should be able to get him in the next. And it never happens. Anytime we think that we can wait for a guy and get him in the next round, it just never, ever happens.
Well,
So,
Dave, I don't feel like we have been like really sniped at all tonight. Like,
no.
I feel like every time you've had one guy in the queue, I've gotten really nervous, but then that guy always falls to us, or we just pass on and get him the next round.
This draft is loaded with my guys. Like this is one of my favorite drafts that I've done so far this year. Like we haven't really been sniped once. It's like every player we want has just kind of fallen into our lap. Of course, the guy that we have in the queue right now, I'm sure is going to get drafted because we just jinxed ourselves here. So we should probably load up a contingent option in that queue at the moment. And no, Joey, we still get the guy that we wanted, Jason Myers, who was the one of the high scoring kickers last year. Like this is just. This is fun, and this is why we've been able to have some like
take Myers,
good conversation.
I was going to make the case for Cam Little. Because
that is Bethany's favorite player.
It's my wife's favorite player, and I would have said, "Listen, let's just take the Jags kicker," and then I could walk in there and be like, "Hey, honey, sorry I was late tonight, but hey, we took Cam Little," and then she'd be so excited.
So. I know you don't
pay
pay attention to these
right.
every single night, but or every single week that I do these. But I was just looking. NFFC, they have a player shares page where you can kind of check your exposure. I've done 12 of these drafts so far. This is draft number 13. Cam Little, I have in 4 of my 12 drafts. So he is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th most rostered player on NFFC right now is Cam Little. Yeah. Who do you think my most drafted player is, Joey?
Oh God, you told me this earlier today. Oh, Ray Davis.
It is Ray Davis on every platform.
I know my Dave Kluge.
Drafters, DraftKings, NFFC, you name the platform, I am taking Ray Davis. But that's why we both kind of sighed a little bit here when we saw him go off the board because where did that go? Yeah, round 12, Ray Davis, which is where he should be going. Like, if I knew Ray Davis was going to go in round 12, probably would have taken him over Chris Rodriguez. No, I wouldn't have taken him over Chris Rodriguez, but definitely would have preferred Ray Davis over Nick Singleton and Katrin Allen. But seems like the market has finally caught up on that deficiency.
I was in New York drafting face to face with Jamie Eisenberg. He was, I think, like the 7 pick, and I was the 10 pick. So the way the table was, we were face to face, and took Ray Davis from me, and I cursed very loudly. I let a sorry Joe go in that New York bar, and then the next round I took Jalen McMillan, and he cursed at me, and so we sniped each other. So
we got GoPrez asking why Cam Little is my favorite player. Honestly, Joey, and this is how I know you don't watch these streams every Tuesday night, because every time I do make that pick, I say this is for Bethany Wright, and I shout you out almost every single time I make it.
Do you really?
I do, yeah. And it's not because I even like Cam Little all that much. It's just that like where I'm waiting for kickers, like I never want to be the guy that's paying up to take the first kicker. I'm always taking like those middle tier kickers, and Cam Little, I'm always just taking him as like the 4th or 5th guy. So Bethany Wright has quietly gotten 4 shout outs on this episode, 5 including tonight.
Wow. Put me on blast for not watching your show, which I appreciate.
I would
watch trivia tonight, Dave.
Joey, it would be a part-time job to watch all of the shows that I come out with for football. I'm a busy man here. I don't expect you to watch everything.
I will say it's nice to. I used to be not demoted, but my role was I would sit backstage while Dave would have all the guests on. And it's fun to get on and talk with you this year.
You have earned your role, Joey, and you are crushing it. Jeff Blaylock saying loving Bateman in round 17. And then let's go back to this. Thank you for asking again, Jimmy, because you asked earlier and we forgot. Xavier Thomas, thoughts for fantasy. Is he a total joker? We might be the jokers for drafting Xavier Thomas. But I will say, as somebody who has been paying attention to these Bears beat reports and putting everything together, compiling all that news for Fantasy Pros, or I'm sorry, for Football Guys training reports. I don't know where that came from. There has been some buzz on Xavier, but it hasn't been like big plays. It's just that he's doing a little bit of everything. Like he is getting snaps as a receiver, getting snaps as a running back, getting snaps as a returner. So I think they're going to find ways to work him in, but I don't know if he's going to be a thing for fantasy, if that makes sense. I think that he's going to like probably get 5-6 touches per game, but I don't think that there's a fantasy relevant path there, especially with Burden and Adunze and Loveland and Swift and Monungai. I think he's going to be a fun player to mix in, but it's just really hard to think of any way that he becomes more than just kind of a gadgety player this year.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Olmad Zacchaeus have a little bit of success from week to week, and they were sporadic weeks last year with Chicago. So that's kind of how I feel about it. There's just so many people there. Hey, Panda Love, I like that.
With Rashee Rice being such a headache, I can't seem to sell him. Do you think there's a world where I could trade him for Jonathan Brooks? I think that window might have closed in Dynasty, to be honest. Like, Rashee Rice, love him in redraft, love him in best ball, but he's on an expiring deal with the Chiefs. And, like, my thing with Dynasty is I'm always trying to think about how players' situations can get better. I don't think that Rashee Rice's situation can get better. Like, if the Chiefs let him walk after this year, I think he's just a wide receiver 4 anywhere else.
Okay. They were saying Jonathan Brooks for Rashee Rice.
In Dynasty, yeah.
And they're wanting to get Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that trade would get accepted at this point, just on namesake. If
that you could probably trade Rashee Rice for Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, I think you'd be able to get Brooks. Do you don't think that trade would go through?
Yeah, I think they'd accept that trade for sure. I don't know. I mean, I am a big proponent for selling Rice in Dynasty. Like, I think that he's just complete fugazi. I think that unless he gets an extension, then I will drastically change. But, like, I think there's so much downside in acquiring Rashee Rice. I mean, I was saying, like, last year I was trying to buy him for cheap when all the legal stuff was popping up, and I couldn't get him for a second-round pick. But, yeah, definitely not a guy that I'm trying to acquire in Dynasty and would be looking to sell where I could. I'm telling Pat you gave them a shout out. Who's Pat? We shouted out a Pat?
Did we talk about Freiermuth? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. Might be missing a
Jeff
there.
Probably the Beehive. They're all hanging out. The Jeff Beehive. They're all hanging out talking nonsense in the chat while we're actually doing some work today.
Well, we got an easy one here. The Minnesota Vikings defense. Yep. We've already, we've got a couple Vikings on this team. This is, not a world-beating defense by any means, but we did play the waiting game a little bit here, and I think they're a decent one to pick up here in week 1 against the Packers. We might have to look for somebody else that we like week 1, just because I don't know if we're going to want to start them up against then. Let's do that, Joey. Let's kind of look through, because I think we're set. Like, there's no running backs or wide receivers that really pique my interest at all at this point. So let's go ahead and look at the week 1 schedule. I'll list off some of these guys. You throw teams in the queue if they are available. So obviously we've got, we're not going to get some of these, but looking for good matchups here. Cincinnati, terrible defense, but they get Cleveland in week 1. Do you want to throw the Bengals in the queue just in case? Because I think we're probably going to end up streaming week 1. I don't want to start the Vikings against the Packers. So Cincinnati,
Bengals are in there.
Sketchy proposition, but they do get Cleveland in week 1. Indianapolis gets Miami in week 1. New England gets the Raiders in week 1. That's a fun one. I think that would be my top one if we can get that.
Miami.
Wait, hold on. I'm an idiot. I think I'm looking at the wrong here. Yeah, I'm looking at 2025 here. I was like, these don't seem
the
right.
Dolphins do play the Raiders in week 1. That is true.
The Dolphins and the Raiders. Yeah, I said the Patriots and the Raiders, so I had that a little bit off. And same, Cincinnati gets Tampa Bay week 1, so I was looking at last year's schedule. So let me real quick try to run through here. The Jets, don't want them, but they do get Tennessee, Indianapolis. I'm just looking for some good matchups here. Jacksonville was already drafted. Like Houston, everyone's paying up for Houston, but they're playing Buffalo week 1. Like, I feel like you almost need a second option if you're going with that. I can go with Miami. That could end up being one of those like nasty shootouts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Philadelphia was already drafted, right?
I don't know.
The Packers have Minnesota, because we have Minnesota, and they're playing the Packers week 1. Are the Chargers still available? We are on the clock.
We still have time though. I do not see the Chargers, so I do believe they were taken.
Yeah, they were. Kind of tilting here last minute. Is Dallas still available? I mean, they're not going to be a good defense, but they do have a nice matchup.
Dallas is there.
All right, let's go with Dallas. Why not? Okay. I mean, it's not the best, but I do like that week 1 matchup a little bit better. They get the Giants in week 1, so that'll be our week 1 defense is rooting for the Dallas Cowboys, the worst defense in the NFL, to just knock the slob out of the the Giants.
I thought you were gonna let me click it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just went into that one real
excited.
quickly.
I was like, I'm gonna click one. Nope. Dave taking the wheel of the ship as always.
Jeff is just saying, guys, I'm telling Pat you gave them a shout. We're still, I don't know, the cryptic mind of Jeff Bell.
I got it. Because you said Fantasy Pros.
Oh, gotcha. I get it. He was talking about the guy from Fantasy
Jeff
Pros.
Bell, that highbrow humor. Just killing us.
Texans own the Bills. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, and that's they might, but like even if they beat them, is this still a team that we're not expecting Josh Allen to score against? Because I think Josh Allen is still going to put up his own points. And the Bengals have upgraded the D-line. They have, but I also don't expect the team to go from a bottom 5 defense to even like league average overnight. I'll have to see that before I believe it. Well, Joey, we got through this draft. Let's run it through the top one more time just to let everybody know tuning in for the first time here. Let me go ahead and hit this retweet real quickly on Twitter so people can see the full video and tune in as we break this one down. Round 1 pick, we took Puka Nacua, some concerns about the groin injury, some concerns about a potential suspension, but nothing that I'm overly concerned about there. Round 2, we didn't plan on taking Brock Bowers, but can't pass on him at that cost. Round 3, we went with Tedero McMillan, the boring upside pick that we spent quite a bit of time discussing. After that, Breece Hall and Quinshon Judkins. Then we just loaded up on some of these mid-round wide receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., Kyle Lemon, and Jordan Addison. After that, we went with J.K. Dobbins in round 9, followed by DeJon Stribling in round 10. I think that's the highest we've drafted him so far, but still think there's some juice to squeeze there. Brock Purdy, Chris Rodriguez, and Kyler Murray with our next 3 picks. I love that quarterback room, man.
Yeah.
Like Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray at that sort of discount, like that is good stuff right there. I like the way that worked out. Then we got Nick Singleton and Katron Allen taking 2 shots on some day 3 rookies here. Brenton Strange in round 16, a wild value there as our tight end 2. Then Rashad Bateman, Jason Myers, and then the Vikings and Cowboys defense to close it out. Joey, this was probably the least stressful draft I've done this entire offseason. Like everything just fell exactly how we hoped it would.
I would never have thought that I liked the 4 pick. I had the 2 pick earlier this week, and I was kind of scratching my head a lot. But man, this was just an easy draft.
It was, yeah. And I love the 4 pick. That was the one that I put atop our KDS because I do have some concerns about, not concerns about JSN, but we talked about it at the top of the show. Like just taking JSN 5th overall feels a little bit rich for me. And then I don't like having to reach for Amon-Ra or the other players there. So I feel like when you look at that Gibbs, Bijan, Chase, Puka tier, like that is just a bulletproof top 4. Like I just want to take any of those 4 guys, however they fall to me. And then you're also like, I don't like picking from the edges. So that pushes you a little bit closer to the middle of the board as well, where you don't feel like you're chasing runs or missing out on runs. So I gotta say, man, like I'm not just making you feel good. This was a draft that I genuinely love. Like this one turned out awesome. You were a great partner to draft with, and I am very happy with this team. The only last question I have for you, Joey, what are we going to do with this $300,000 once we win it all?
Last year we said we're going to go to Hawaii, and we're going to just I'll bring my kids, and you and Emily come, and it'll be a blast.
All right. Well, bringing the kids to Hawaii, so that leaves us with about 10,000 left over of the 300.
This is true. And we're going to Alani, right? Isn't that the Disney resort? So got to meet Moana. No, it's I don't know, Dave. We'll do lots of stuff. I'll tell you what, the Football Guys retreat will be a lot more fun.
Oh no, Team 4 is terrible according to regulators. You don't know ball. I'm sorry, man. Yeah. That's a good team. You either get it or you don't. Jeff Bell saying you'll take the Jeff Beehive to Hawaii. Yeah, maybe we'll do that with our money. Lots of fun stuff to do here. Jimmy Seabear, nicely done, guys. Congrats on winning the league. Jeff B, great job, guys. Nice hanging with you virtually. So thank you to everybody who took the time to hang out. Jeff Bell and I, one of the thirds of the Jeff Beehive. We're about to record this training camp episode, so hit that like button here on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, and come back tomorrow morning when Jeff and I are going to break down a wild week of training camp news. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Joey, for taking the time to hang out tonight and draft this bomb team that we just got, and we will see you soon.
Bye.